Welcome to the first SEAC meeting of the school year. And we have quorum. Welcome to all of our friends who are online. I know that traveling is somewhat challenging. So we are going to call the meeting to order. And you receive regrets? I don't have the list of regrets. So
through you, Chair, no, just let us know that you'd be here online, as well as Trustee Elves and the other people are online today.
That's great. Thank you very much. So now we are going to move on to the acknowledgement of our traditional territory.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
And we are now moving on to the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee approves the agenda of September 16, 2025? Thank you very much.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Can we just make a change on the agenda? Right now, it still has Mary Wright as our member, and she's no longer, I'm the representative now.
Can we have
just
that?
change that on the agenda?
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have that noted. We have that one change. We have a the movement second. So all in favor? The motion to approve the agenda has been passed, and we move on to number 4, which are the declarations of conflicts of interest. If anyone has conflict of interest, anyone online? Seeing none. Then we move on to the approval of the minutes. This is reaching back a bit. So, and we're looking at the minutes of the June 17th, 2025 meeting. Is there somebody that would like to move that and second that, reaching back in our memory? Thank you very much. Mr. Benjamin, a seconder? Thank you very much. Hopefully that's not me. Not it's like I need a hammer. Are there any questions or discussion about the minutes prior to adoption? If we have none, then we will approve the June 17th, 2025 SEAC minutes as presented. And wow, we are flying through this. Sorry, I was just racing here, and now I'm on number 6 in about 5 minutes. So delegations, public questions, currently we have none, at least none that are registered. So we are now on to where we can take a more leisurely pace, the reports from officials and staff. So the first is our oral report from our superintendent.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, welcome to all SEAC members to a new school year. We are truly looking forward to the ongoing collaboration and meaningful dialogue that your role brings to the system. Your insights and perspectives are invaluable as we continue working to create inclusive, responsive, and equitable learning environments for all students. This year, we are particularly committed to finding new and purposeful ways to seek your feedback and input, as well as the input of the broader community that you represent through your important role in governance. We would also like to share that there is currently one vacancy on SEAC following the departure of the representative from Abilities to Work. As such, the Peel District School Board is currently accepting applications for qualified organizations to join the Peel Special Education Advisory Committee for the remainder of the term to October 26, 2026. Submissions are requested to be received by October 17, 2025. As you know through your own representation, SEAC is a statutory committee of the board providing advice about special education programs and services available to PDSB students. It provides us valuable opportunity to engage with the community organizations to work in collaboration, bring forward an essential perspective on a variety of matters pertaining to the delivery of special education services. SEAC representative organizations also serve as a voice for parents, providing an additional route for communication and collaboration with the PDSB. The membership requirements includes 3 trustees and 12 organizations or association members. Eligible nominees for this vacancy are members of or staff of qualified organizations or associations. Qualified local organizations and associations must be incorporated, operate throughout Ontario, further the interest of well-being of one or more groups of exceptional children or adults, and not represent professional educators. We are actively working to fill this position, and we do welcome your support in identifying potential individuals or associations who may be interested in joining and contributing to our shared work. So if any of you have any recommendations for us, we'd be pleased to hear from you in order to reach out to them personally with this opportunity. Looking ahead, we are excited about the upcoming special education conference taking place at the end of this month. This conference is key professional learning opportunity with mandatory registration for all principals and special education support staff. The learning will focus on core areas, including empowering leadership through digital goal setting and accountability, learning hubs, assessment and instructional best practices, understanding placements, examining system, tier supports and student needs, student review meetings, best practices for student success, designing strength-based IEPs, integrating the A4 transition planning and culturally responsive and respective practices, aligning assessment with the A4, a leadership approach to student-centered planning, designing inclusive learning environments that are accessible for all, meeting sensory and educational needs for all learners, personalizing curriculum through artificial intelligence, transition and pathway planning, preparing students and families for post-21 pathways, from entry to empowerment, supporting students with complex needs, designing math for all, supporting students with learning disabilities through universal design for learning, and best practices for mainstream educators, supporting learning hub resource students. All learning opportunities will focus on the importance of implementation and accountability in improving student outcomes. We are confident that this collective learning will support stronger, more coherent practices across the system. Finally, this year, we hope to deepen our understanding of the communities represented at SEAC by spotlighting one association each month. Through these monthly highlights, we aim to learn more about the students and families that each of you support and to amplify their voices so we can better understand and serve all learners. Next week, my administrative assistant, Pamela, will be sending out a schedule for all of you to sign up for a meeting if you are willing and able. We look forward to hearing more from each of you and as we continue to grow in our collective work. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Claudine, any questions or comments?
What's A4? Thank you, and through you, Chair. The A4 is the alternative curriculum that focuses on 4 areas of learning and growth. So it's for students who are not accessing the regular Ontario curriculum and are learning through 4 areas of development, including functional academics, communication, independent skills, and pathways and transition planning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I like this idea of spotlighting one association each month. It's great. We'll be able to learn more about each association and also share this information with parents when, as and when, or our own principals when we need them. Thank you very much for that idea. Good.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I do want to give credit to both the chair and the vice chair who, highlighted this idea around an opportunity for all organizations to really help us more deeply understand the students that they serve, but more so provide a vehicle to which they can openly and freely share feedback from communities. The goal of our organization, you'll see through our priorities and one of our reports is really to ensure that the supports we are giving land in classrooms, and we know we have work to do in that area. And hearing directly from community members through you will allow us to do that more effectively. So thanks to the chair, co-chair.
Very much, go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you. I really like that idea as well, being able to highlight each of these locations. I think it's important that we have more education and awareness around what each of our groups do. So thank you for that. But I did have another question in regards to the special education conference. Is that something that we as SEAC representatives can attend as well, or either representing our association or even just representing SEAC?
Through you, Chair, we did last year invite SEAC members to join the morning portion. We only had one member come and set up a table. But certainly if that's something you'd like us to consider, we do have an introductory period that happens. So if you'd like to come set up a table and put out your association information, we can share the dates with you. I'll ask coordinating vice principal Kaz McKeown to share the details around the dates and then the times that would be appropriate for you to join us. Kaz, do you want to share? I didn't give him any warning, so.
Through you, Chair, thank you. So the dates are September 22nd, September 25th, September 26th, and 29th. And in the morning, we would be setting up tables like probably around 8 a.m. It'll be from 8 till about 9:15, where the audience will be able to come in and register, and then it'll start around 8:30. Okay.
Sorry, could we get that information in an email so that way we can
Absolutely.
plan?
Yes, through you, Chair, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Any questions? Please go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Do we have any ideas of what organizations that we feel we haven't really focused on that we would like to be, to fill an empty space, or,
Thank you. Through you, Chair. We always have a need to more deeply understand Indigenous ways of learning, knowing, and doing. So I'd like to see, perhaps a partnership with an Indigenous group that also focus on students with special education needs is one possibility. Another one that we talked about, because Abilities to Work was a strong partner for us, is looking at transition, organizations that focus on post-21 transitions. I think it's really important that we're equipping our students with the most opportunities we can to allow them that. So those were two things that our team thought of. But again, the level of expertise across the room would be something we'd be really interested in pursuing.
yes, thank you. That sounds like a good idea.
Other questions or comments from anyone online? It's always tricky to see, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, if we, go ahead.
The big ask. If we were to come in the morning on one of these days, would we be able to see some or participate in some of the workshops?
Yeah, through you, Chair, no, those, the learning is really designed for administrators and educators. So, and related to the domains of practice that we want to see. So, but certainly happy to have you participate in the morning if you want to share your organizations with the principals. They'll all be there. So, we're doing the same presentation all 4 days, but because of the vast size of our board, we are dividing our board into the now 4 quadrants, which I'll talk about again, how our organization is now organized.
Perfect. We would have to hold in terms of questions that are from the group.
Okay.
Can we? So if we have no further questions or feedback, then we would be adopting. Where am I? No, I think we're still, I didn't realize we're still on your report. I already have that. So yeah, so we are now going to do a motion to approve the superintendent's oral report. A mover of trustee Clark and seconder of trustee Benjamin. And if we've already completed the discussion, then if we could say all in favor. And we are adopting the oral report. Thank you very much. And so we are on to 7.2, which I believe is also. This is all starring our wonderful superintendent. So the next discussion is an important one, the special education department structure.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, I'll just ask our media partners to start the slide deck if possible. So we wanted to share with you our special education, both the department priorities, which are the three main areas of focus for our department, as well as our department structure. This aligns with standards 2, 3, and 12 in the special education plan. And you'll start to see a pattern based on conversations with the chair and co-chair of how we're going to organize our slide decks to make sure that we're comprehensive and clear, that when we're talking about certain reports that we're aligning it with the special education plan, and if any changes are needed to update that plan, which will also come as a summary at the end of the year. So we'll be doing it throughout. As we have changes. So this relates again to standards 3, 2, and 12 in the special education plan. Next slide, please. So we'll start with our special education department priorities. And again, these are three main priorities that guide the work that we do. Next slide, please. Our priority 1 is around actively dismantling all forms of oppression with a specific focus on dismantling racism and ableism within our system, especially for students who identify as Black, Indigenous, disabled, or person with disabilities. That work has been a passion of the board and a commitment of the board for a very long time. And we know that students who have intersectional identities often have more disparate outcomes than their peers. So we want to make sure that we're committed to fostering inclusive, equitable, and supportive student-centered learning environments where all students can be successful. I do want to highlight that the image that you see on the slide deck was one that was created by one of the students in our schools who is a very talented artist, and her description of this is how she feels like her brain works and how her brain feels. So just wanted to highlight the art. Okay, priority 2. Focuses on updating our delivery model, which we've done now, but we need now to move from updating the delivery model to implementation strategies and indicators of success. Two things we hear often from members of SEAC about making sure that kind of what we're designing and doing is landing in classrooms, and the benefactors of all of that are the students that we serve, and then how are we measuring the success of the change of programs that we're doing. So it's improving the efficacy and effectiveness of our processes and services in our delivery model, making sure we're streamlining our operations and really building educator and administrator capacity to make sure that the expertise that lies within our department is spread across schools, which is why when we have the special education conference, we ensure that we always invite special education teachers who can build capacity at the school level. Priority 3. So this is one of our most passionate priorities in making sure that there's significant improvements to programs designed for special for students with disabilities by building again capacity across the system. So as we moved into our learning hubs, as we shared last year, we want to make sure that that transition into learning hub comes with improvements in instructional practices, assessment practices, inclusionary practices, sense of belonging, accessibility. And that we have ways to measure that. We're working on a tool that's being rolled out at the special education conference that will ask schools to focus on 1 or 2 domains of learning in particular, and collect data around what they see as improvements for students and families on a variety of pathways. Next slide, please. All of this relates very strongly to our trustee developed multi-year strategic plan. You'll see across all of our priorities connections to student achievement, safety and well-being, equity and inclusion, and community engagement. So the 3 priorities really do mirror the multi-year strategic plan in a really strong and comprehensive and measurable way. Next slide, please. Next, we wanted to share with you the special education organizational chart, and I'll thank you for your patience as changes continue to happen late into the year, and with the final changes happening in the July board meeting through the allocation of business plans. The Board of Trustees have always been highly supportive of the special education department in the consideration in assuring that students and families are supported. I know this is a hard slide to see, which is why we gave you a paper copy, but you'll remember from last year that we shifted away from having an organization that focused on unique identifications or exceptionalities of students and moved into quadrants. So we now have 4 coordinating principals in each of the 4 quadrants, and they're divided by central, west, north, and south. And each coordinating principal is accompanied by a coordinating vice principal to support learners of all exceptionalities within their quadrants, each quadrant serving approximately 3 superintendents. And within that organization as well, of course, we have transition EAs, registered behavior analysts, and other staff that support successful transitions to and from. At the bottom of these at the boxes on the bottom are areas of system-wide responsibility for each of the coordinating administrative teams. So you'll notice that Dr. Erla Jacket and Kim Kuhn are responsible, for example, ABA instruction, and it goes on and so forth, with each coordinating principal and vice principal being responsible for different portfolios. Then we move over to coordinating vice principal Kaz McGill, who's with us tonight, who is responsible for all of our special equipment allocation SEA, and also is supporting the blind, low vision, and hard of hearing itinerants. There's a deep connection between the CRTs and the work that the hard of hearing and the blind, low vision staff are doing, and we know he's well supported there. And finally, in the last column, you will see coordinating principal Andrea Duber-Salmon, who sends her regrets today. She is responsible for all PSSP staff, so psychology, social work, speech and language, and all of the managers, 6 managers that she has in her portfolio. Next slide, please. So what has changed? So we wanted to be clear, because when we give you an organization, that you want to understand deeply what has changed. So as shared in the April 2025 meeting, we moved towards serving all students across 4 quadrants. So that changed. Each coordinating event team has areas of responsibility. I shared that. I have a new title. I'm now the coordinating superintendent of special education. That changed over the summer. And we have the addition of 1 coordinating vice principal on our team and 4 coordinating vice principals. We removed 9 coordinators in our department. Next, please. We shifted from special education resource teachers. We had 19 certs in special programs resource teachers, 34 certs, to individual education resource teachers who, again, to follow the quadrant model, IERTs really build the capacity and meet the needs of all students, regardless of exceptionality. So we are no longer dividing even our resource teachers by that. We added 1 additional transition navigator, which is a really exciting role that's funded through a transfer payment agreement from the ministry that's focusing on the transitions from K to 21 and beyond, which is really instrumental. And we have the addition of a resource teacher as an ABA resource teacher. We lost 1 SEA resource teacher, so we're down to 8 there. And we have stability with PSSP, centrally assigned EAs, blind, low vision, and hard of hearing teams. And we are currently posting for a psychology manager in the South. That is a vacant posting, and are actively seeking an O&M specialist. Next slide, please. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that. Questions and comments? And that's a lot to take in. Trustee Benjamin?
So before I forget, what is O&M? What does it stand for?
Orientation and mobility specialists. So it's a contract that supports our blind, low vision students. So it's something we talked extensively about last year. I penned a letter to the ministry last year asking for additional supports. There's very little accreditation happening in Ontario. Accreditation really happens only in the West Coast right now, and Western University does some. So we've had great difficulty, as have many other boards. So we partnered last year in trying to get some support with that, and we're continuing to do so.
Okay, thank you. And when you talk of quadrants, does it mean that you're dividing the Peele region into 4 regions or?
Yes, correct. Yes, so each of the coordinating principals and vice principals each have about 3 superintendents each to support, roughly based on geography, but not solely based on geography, because we wanted to balance the number of learning hubs they had. We had multiple considerations: the number of learning hubs that they had, the number of students accessing special education supports. So we were really trying to look at it, the number of students accessing social emotional learning supports. So it was strategic and intentional the way that we created big options.
Okay, thank you. But still, I wouldn't be able to say, if you ask me, I'm very bad at direction. So when you say not quadrants, I wouldn't know which part of Mississauga, which part of Peel it would be.
Yeah, so
is there
that's really like super. Yeah, we could look at it doing it with a color coded map. Maybe. So it would be like Superintendent Hugh Hoppy would be in that, Superintendent Curvin White, and Superintendent Alvin Howell, for example, would be in the north.
Thank you. And my last question. Thank you for all the information that you have provided. So this morning I got a call from a parent, and it was about a child being deemed gifted in June. And the parent wanted to know why a program is not in place. So she had a child in grade 5, 1 in grade 2, and 1 in kindergarten. So assume that the parent would know something about the special education process and so on and so forth. So all I said was, give me all the information, because I was away sometime and I could not give her an answer, and I always wait. So in all what we are doing, bringing about improvement to programs, I think we need to also include communication to parents of how the process works, and so on and so forth, so that they are well educated. Like if the child is deemed gifted, okay, what is the process that is going to be followed, so that parents are educated in this and don't have any confusion later on. So it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair.
Yeah.
We do have that finalized copy of this parent guide to special education. It's just in our communication department being finalized now, but we'll have it up on our website and in schools. But we'll take that feedback. Thank you.
Just to continue, the website is, I think, what parents don't go to.
Yes, so that's why we would send it to
This
schools.
parent, and this parent has gone to all from superintendent down, but does not know who the trustee is. And, it's very clearly, if you go, and I always tell them, please go onto the school website. Information is there, everything is very clear.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we need to educate our parents on how to navigate the website. Or I don't know.
Yeah, and this is a common. We want the principal to really explain process as well as the person who, has the connection to the child and the family. We would want principals to understand, being able to explain the process more clearly, so they're not coming to you for that information. But we'll take that feedback back. Thank you.
That's all.
Other questions or comments? All right.
So I see the 4 quadrants here, and then people underneath these quadrants or positions underneath the different quadrants. Some of them go across the quadrants. So I'm wondering how that works as far as, okay, gifted, there's only one person under the central quadrant. So what does that mean? Does that mean that all gifted programs are going to be in the central quadrant?
Through you, Chair. No, that doesn't. We need to have one gifted resource teacher, Richard Lyle, who supports the program across all of the quadrants. He reports directly to coordinating principal Bertrand, because coordinating principal Bertrand is responsible for the gifted program across the whole system. But each of the coordinating principals are responsible for ensuring the integrity of the gifted program for the classes that are in their quadrant. So that's when we're talking about, coordinating principals having multiple, responsibilities across for student success.
Okay, then why do I see individualized education resource teachers across all?
Because they each have 9 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, so if if you're seeing them multiple, so there would be 9 individual educational resource teachers that report to superintendent or school sergeant, 9 that report to George, 9 that report to, so that's where we get the 37 total.
Okay.
So it's really about reporting structures versus total.
Does that answer your question? Okay, Jessie, you got your hand up online?
Yeah, hi. Just a question around the orientation and mobility. I know that we've been trying to get a resource for quite some time now. Superintendent Sukato, I think I heard you say that there is a school, or sorry, Western or West. I'm not sure. I it cut out there for me, but is there an opportunity for the board to go actively recruit graduating O&M specialists if there is a school?
Through you, Chair, I'll ask coordinating principal Bertrand to take that question. Thanks, Jazzy. I said Western Ontario has accreditation in blind low vision. They're the only one that offer that AQ course for teachers that would help us build our itinerant teacher capacity. But I'll let Jeff take the O&M question.
Thanks, and through you, Chair. So yeah, there's a bit of a differentiation in that Western offers AQs Part 1, 2, 3 in Braille. And then there is a school in British Columbia that offers accreditation in O&M specialist. So could we actively recruit from there? Sure. We could look at that, but given that it's a province-wide problem, we're always in competition with our neighboring boards for supports. And we currently do have the same urgent need support that we had in place in the spring in our partnership. So we do have some level of service currently, but we need to still actively look for a full-time contract.
Yeah, because when we talk about the strategic priorities, the 4 that, Superintendent Sukato mentioned, I think the second one was like safety and belonging. And, for low vision blind children, I mean, if they can't navigate safely and play during recess time and develop those social emotional strengths, and they often feel isolated, their social circle is small, and they lose the confidence to navigate. So I know I've stressed this many times in the past meetings, but the need is still there. And I just is there somewhere on the website where if a parent is looking and we don't have O&M, we direct them to like VLRO or any other support that we have in place, so that they are aware that although we might not have an O&M, or that you are seeking it, that there are other avenues to get that?
Through you, Chair, that's an excellent opportunity for us to talk about that as a team, because certainly we would want to partner with them to have that. And if that's something maybe, Jazzy, we can reach out to you about, because we would want that information to be fed to our itinerants who have the strongest connections to students and families. So that's something that we can certainly look at. Thank you for that. We'll take that down.
Other questions and comments?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you very much for this org chart. It's really, really helpful. If I have a parent that comes to me with an issue or a concern, which I just had one a couple of days ago, is it best for me to direct them? I mean, obviously, first line of communication is always with the principal and etc. But they've had a meeting with the principal, and they have further questions, and the principal is directing them in a different way, which the parents not comfortable going. Is it then, do we go to the coordinating principal to have that conversation with the superintendent, coordinating principal? I know we created like a brochure last year in regards to who to go to when there's a question or a concern, and sort of guiding parents in terms of that process. And it'd be nice if we could, I don't know if this is part of that or not, or.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. That's an excellent comment and question, and that is included in the parent guide, which is those thank you always school principal first. And then if the concern is raised around needing additional information, then yes, you go to the coordinating principal. If the concern is about the school principal themselves, then no, you would not go to the coordinating principal, that would go to the field superintendent. So I guess it would determine if, like, the concern is around seeking more special education information, that would certainly be our team and the coordinating principal for whatever school they're from. But if it's a concern with the principal, then that they are colleagues, and that would need to go with the field superintendent.
Yeah, no, this is more directly to the programming.
Yes,
Yeah.
so yes, that would be the coordinating principal, correct.
More questions and concerns? Betsy, are you up again?
Yeah, it's me again.
That's great.
I just a thought. I don't know. Like my school where my children go, they have a newsletter, and I often don't see any communication in the newsletter about the special education committee and all the great things that you can get and the resources. So, is there or even during the open house? So maybe there's an opportunity from like top down where schools can start to put and I know, like, it's the demographic too, and parents might not necessarily use the website, but if they're not using the website, they could be utilizing the newsletters. But maybe there's an opportunity to have like special education news in the newsletters and in like these open house forums, because it sounds like there's like parents, like, I don't know, I've been a part of SEAC for a couple of years now, and it's an ongoing issue where parents aren't checking the website, or the website's overwhelming, or they don't know where to get the information. So it's like the website isn't working for us.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Yes, school, newsletters are often drafted particularly by the principal, but certainly we can talk to them about how they can include the messaging from our departments into their newsletters. That's something we can mention at the conference.
Go ahead.
Years ago, pre-pandemic, SEAC used to sometimes attend school events. We have a banner and a tablecloth and a basket with stuff in it. I think it's in your office. I think it's pink. So I don't know if it means that someone from SEAC has to volunteer to attend these events, but maybe we can do that again. Or let people know, parents know that it's possible.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah, I remember that. And we used to actually also input to the newsletters.
Yeah.
So from my understanding, if it's still working the same way, and from what I see, I think it is, principals have a bunch of things they can select from. So does special education actually put something out there for them to select?
So the camera ready articles are really developed, they're called camera ready, yes, still there, are developed through the communications department, but we can look at what we would offer. The interesting part is that each school is unique in kind of the learning portraits that are in the school. There are supports for, some have learning hubs, some don't, some have kids in the mainstream, so we can look at how we can better communicate with families. We really want to push them towards the special education plan. So maybe it's just something, visit the special education plan, or more information is coming around. For example, the hubs that we talked about, and pointing towards that might be something we can continue to put in. So, because what we want to do is show them the comprehensive supports that we have, understanding that we know that the special education plan can feel overwhelming trying to navigate it, which is why we try to do it in chapters. So, and if you click on the chapter, you are taken right to that page. So we try to make it more manageable than trying to sift through like 180 pages of information. Thank you for that.
Just wondering if we have numbers for psychology consultants and social workers. And I heard you say you're hiring a psychologist for the South. So are there actual?
So under the managers, do you see where the manager says TBD, Amelia Shu and TBD or TBD? So that's the one we're hiring for.
Okay.
So our managers, because we only have two, are divided by North and South.
Okay.
So we have two in speech and language, two in social work, and two in psychology. And I do not have those numbers offhand because it's separate on the chart because there's so many of them. I don't have those numbers offhand. The total numbers.
Okay. just so I understand this chart, I don't know if I'm the only one that finds it a lot of information here. Anything above sort of the special education assistance, when you look at the four, the four quadrants, that's unique to that they are just for that quadrant, correct?
Correct.
Anything below that is shared across, and so like the ABA, here, gifted resource, occupational
Correct.
therapists. Also,
Absolutely.
anything below that
Yes.
line is all shared amongst
That's
the quadrants,
exactly it.
but they report to
The person at
the
the top.
person at the top.
Yes,
Okay, and
exactly.
then the individual, the new IERTs,
Yes,
they're there to serve the hubs and the mainstream students.
correct.
Okay,
Everybody. Just every exceptionality.
all right, and then how does someone access the transition navigator? What's going on with that?
So that is one of our most exciting roles. And I'll ask coordinating principal Bertrand to talk about kind of how they were conceptualized. And again, it came out of the transfer payment agreement and focus from the ministry, understanding that we need stronger transitions, especially from 21 into the workforce. So I'll ask Jeff to talk about how they were leveraged and how we were able to add one this year and what work they're doing in the priorities.
Thanks, and through you, Chair. Just for clarification, when you are asking how someone accesses them, are you asking about like how a school accesses them or how a family community might access them?
Oh.
Okay, fair. Okay, so the transition navigators, the position was really created by the ministry to build capacity across the system for transitions into school, between schools, and then out of school into the community. And so last year, we had 3. They started partway through the year, and they were really working to sort of define their role in terms of how they can best build capacity at schools, as well as support schools with families who maybe have some complex needs in their transition. And so they're trying to strike a balance of those two things. And so what we've asked them to do this year is reach out to the schools they support, obviously let them know that that's their role and how to access them, and to highlight that they're there to build capacity. So if school teams want to bring them in and meet with them to learn about resources that are out there for post-secondary transitions, for example, so that the school team is then better able to have those conversations with families. That's sort of their primary role right now, along with some system level projects that they're working on. But if a school feels that they need that sort of expertise in the room during a meeting with a family, then they're certainly able to ask the transition navigators to attend that meeting. We would ask families to sort of connect with the school and make that request that they want the transition navigators to attend, rather than sort of giving out their personal contact information widely. So, and that way also the school knows that they're being asked to attend the meeting.
Is that different than it used to be? Because did they not used to attend the meetings with the families? Is that change?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So we did have some transition facilitators that would attend meetings with families. So the 4 transition navigators will still do that, but really that focus from the ministry is building capacity, because they want schools to be able to have more of those conversations on their own, so that in the long run, we're not creating experts. Rather, we're trying to build capacity amongst everyone in the system to support families.
Thank you. When we talked about, oh, sorry.
Sure, no, go ahead. I was just gonna.
You talked about the quadrants and then kind of overlapping different, or not overlapping, but having different superintendencies. I think it would be really important for people to be aware of that picture somewhere. Parents, trustees, everybody, so if that doesn't exist already, is this?
I'm sure we can figure a color coded map out, but yes, certainly.
Or even just the list of-
Yes, there is a list available to schools. So
Okay.
on our internal website, we have what's called a who's who. So if I go into my school name, it'll say who my coordinating principal, vice principal, transition navigator, IERT, social worker, psychologist, occupational therapist, you name it in my department. you go across that line and you can find out what you're looking for. So it's super accessible to staff. And if there's any staff changing, we update the who's who automatically. I think it's probably the most popular thing we've ever created in the system because they don't have to figure out or search for who's supporting their school anymore. And so it's an Excel that's manipulatable, but not like, so if I want to just go into, let's say I'm a superintendent Hart and in my section, I can just go into Hart and then figure out, okay, this is the school and this is who the individual education resource teacher is. Here's who I have to call about that school. So it's very accessible to principals and vice principals and superintendents. And then they would be able to relay that information to families. But generally, as coordinating principal Bertrand shared, we want communication to always siphon through school principals and then include our team because again, the resources there to build the capacity of the principal so that they're able to have and navigate those conversations with families in a really informed way.
So we don't want it to be really open and transparent, that who's who to the parents. We don't.
So we would share, I guess, for what reason would a parent need to know
An escalation, like we talked about earlier.
so like
The principals aren't always open to giving you the name of the escalation.
yeah, then they would just call the department. Pam answers the phone for the department and then she would, say, my son goes to this school, we would transfer the call. Yeah. She does that all day.
You know, it's fine. Okay. So we're back to the start of the IERT, the resource teacher. So there's 9 in the North Quadrant. Are they in superintendencies? Are they, or how are they sort of?
Yeah, through you, Chair. Again, the IERT packages were carefully considered amongst a larger group for, again, the number of learning hubs they had in any number of schools, the number of mainstream students that they needed to serve in the schools, the number of non-identified students, which was supported by the social emotional learning team, Michelle Stubbing, Superintendent Michelle Stubbing's department. So we created IERT packages. They were done strategically and intentionally too, to try to balance the number of schools. The role of the IERT has shifted a little bit in that they have regularly scheduled visits in schools bi-weekly. So they're becoming more a part of the staff. And so they'll be, let's say, for a full day in one school on a Tuesday. So that's when the parent viewings might be. It's when they might do professional learning in that regard. It's when they might do one-to-one support for teachers in that space. So there's more predictable schedules with this model than we had in past. And just ask coordinating principal Jeff Bertrand to make an addition.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. In general, they are done by superintendency, like all the schools would be in a superintendency, but there are a few cases where, because of the need to try and balance the packages in terms of workload, or because some of the superintendencies have significantly fewer schools, we've combined a couple. And then the only other thing I would say worth noting is that we have differentiated between secondary and elementary IERTs so that they are able to speak to the programs in secondary and elementary specifically and support those schools.
Would you like to continue?
If you have more questions, one of the things that when we were having our planning meeting last week is we did discuss, we're happy to take the time to go through and answer any and all questions. We want to make sure that everyone here both understands the content and understands the intention of what we're doing, and also, with a large chunk of information like this, we want to make sure you get all your questions answered. This is our time. So if you have questions, we've got all the time in the world. So if you have any,
I just have one more.
finish your questions.
This is regarding the priorities. So these sound really great priorities. Obviously, I would think most people here on the table will be on board with this. What would be great to see next are the measurements, the project plan, how are we going to get there, kind of thing. So what are the projects, who's working on them, where are we now, what are we aiming for, that kind of thing would be fantastic.
Yeah, and through you, Chair, when we share, if the agenda is approved in our next report, when we share PL planning and forward planning, those things will all be considered around, making sure that we're providing professional learning in ways that is meaningful. We're really rooting our professional learning decisions through the voices of our individual education resource teachers who are in schools and with students and families every day. So our individual educational teachers will attend student review meetings, the twos, and then often have a deeper understanding of where the learning in schools need to happen and see the gaps between our priorities and implementation. So in our first meeting, we took some initial data from them, which we're happy to share with you around where they see the gaps in learning are. We can share that with our PL plan. We did a survey. We're furthering that learning with them on Friday to have a deeper understanding of where, after the first 3 weeks, where they think we need to focus our learning on. So we are trying to be bottom-up responsive instead of making assumptions about what we think schools need to learn. And we also have the special education conference was built again from feedback from principals and special education teachers about what they wanted to see, which is why we see amazing things like the AI involvement and how that impacts students with special education, things like that. So we're trying a more balanced approach.
That's great. And I think it would be really great to see what they're perceiving as the gaps and see if it matches what the people at the table are seeing as the gaps.
Yeah.
And just because you mentioned AI.
Yes.
So let me see what that was called. It was
personalizing curriculum.
there it is, right? Personalizing curriculum through AA prompt engineering develop responsive programs. So we're gonna just great. We're gonna start to use that as a teaching tool. What I and a number of other parents have seen is there's a real gap in the students being able to use it and not be cheaters. So teaching students to actually use AI, and especially kids with physical disabilities, other disabilities, they're gonna be a real tool for them in the future. So teaching them how to use them effectively, and not being ashamed of it and being told that it's not right.
Through you, Chair, I could not agree more. It is a great accessibility tool when used critically and ethically. And I know that, I'm not sure if Coordinating Vice Principal Casimir Guillaume wants to add in, but his team is instrumental in ensuring that students and educators through their capacity building have access to AI in ways that really level out the playing field for kids. So I don't know if I just made you a superintendent, yes. Coordinating Vice Principal Vicky wants to add in. Thanks.
Through you, Chair. Thank you. The presentation will be about prompt engineering and showing administrators and educators how they can use the prompts correctly in order to get really wonderful resources to support students, support with engagement, differentiation, and so students are excited to learn. And like you said, model how to use it effectively so students will use it the same way. So we're very excited.
Great. Yeah, I think that other piece is getting the teachers to embrace the fact that it can be used in a classroom and we don't have to go back to pencil and paper, which we're seeing in a lot of classrooms because they're afraid. We're going back to pencil and paper, which is really hard for a lot of our kids.
Are there other questions? Comments? I feel like it, no, I just want to give it back. If there are no more questions, comments, thank you very much. This is a great, first of all, it's a huge chunk of information. It's also a great deal of very useful information. So if we can have a motion to approve the presentation as presented. Would you like to move that, Jennifer, seconder? We have trustee Clark, and since we've already had the discussion, all in favor? So that is approved. So we will now move on. Now, of course, I have buried my agenda under all my other agendas. And we're moving on to 7.3, which is the SEAC annual agenda and goals. agrees with my, for what it is.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, we are presenting this report for SEAC feedback. We are presenting the annual agenda and the goals of our collective learning through the suggested presentation of reports. I have it both for you in writing today, and I think it was sent by my admin assistant on the next day. Next slide, please. Just wanted to, of course, share the alignment to the special education plan. This report aligns to both standards 1 and 17 of the special education plan and the ability to seek consultation through SEAC. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, I guess I didn't do that. Next slide, because I gave it to you. The goals of the feedback. I was supposed to take a screenshot, but I guess I forgot to do that. Sorry. The annual agenda and goals were drafted in collaboration with the SEAC chair and vice chair. And tonight we really hope that we're creating the conditions to prompt reflection and deepening the understanding of what we're doing in our department. Structures, priorities, system-wide service, alignment with the goals of the organizations that you represent. So you'll see before you a proposed draft. I have reached out to partner departments to see and seek their availability and have heard back from most departments around making sure that they'd be available during the month that they have shared, but really wanted to open the floor to any gaps that any SEAC members see. And apologies for those online, but if you check your email, you will have had that document sent to you by my assistant. So if you can open that up and open to any feedback from all SEAC members if they think that there's something missing from that proposed agenda.
This would be questions and comments on the SEAC planning calendar for 2025 to 26. And what we did want to emphasize is that we are aware that folks are really busy and that these meetings are really the hub of where we're going to be providing information, whether it's within our own committee and our organizations and also to families and parents who may be watching. So part of that is we also noted that a lot of the referring people to links and asking them to provide feedback after meetings wasn't being engaged. And that's because people are busy and they leave the meeting and they're off. So if you'll look through the planning calendar, we did try and ensure that we are informing people of how the content is related to the special education plan and any changes or content updates in it. So if anybody wants to go through this, and we did also we'll be signing up associations and organizations on a monthly basis so that we'll be able to do that information sharing that we discussed as well. So if there's any questions, comments, anything we've missed, it would be great to hear. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so in line with what she's saying, we'd like to get as much feedback within the meeting. That's not to say you can't get feedback after the meeting because a lot of people process differently, but we want to spend the time in here and hear from everybody who's here and get the feedback here, not to go out and think about it later because we've all forgotten. That's not to say that if you think of something the next day, I'm sure you could send an email this way, and that will be incorporated as feedback as well.
So do we have any comments or questions from people who are just reading this now? All right, let's go ahead.
I see the ONSIS report is not coming till April. Is it possible that we can get it sooner? I know there's a lot in November, but in November, the October ONSIS report in November.
Through you, Chair, I'll ask coordinating principal Jeff Bertrand to answer that.
Thanks, and through you, Chair. November is very tough for us to get it done, to be honest, because the numbers are certified on October 31st, and then the board has to go through and double check and make sure there's no errors.
December then?
December might be possible, but
the October report in December?
We can try. Last year, those numbers though weren't double checked and sent to the ministry until January. So we were trying to just be realistic in our expectations.
Maybe you could bring them just as draft numbers.
can certainly try that.
Okay.
It's just a matter of what LTSS can pull for us from the ministry report. And if they're still cleaning it up and there's still errors or schools haven't certified, then it's not going to be accurate. So we were going to wait and make sure it was accurate rather than. But I do understand that there's an October 31st reporting date. That's significantly later.
Through you, Chair, can we try for February then? Because is that something we can move it from April to February?
Sure. Is that possible for you?
Thanks.
So in
Through you, Chair.
April, what ONS numbers were you gonna give us? The October ones?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, okay.
It's dependent on LTSS and when we can get the numbers from them, as they are the ones who process them and submit them to the ministry. So, but February should be fine.
That'd be better.
And so we'd be moving that into the February calendar. And Bart, that's an agreement for yours?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Other comments? Questions? Excited.
Is there an actual requirement as to when it is presented to the unit?
I don't think, but I know we always got the October onset reports, but I don't think we got them till November or December.
Before, I just wondered if there was actually a
We got,
timeline that is specified. Or
yeah,
you're shaking your head, so I'm guessing.
yeah, when I first started on SEAC, we got them twice a year.
Thanks, and through you, Chair. So yes, we typically report to the ministry on October 31st and March 31st. But timelines in terms of getting that data cleaned up have lengthened considerably, as have the timelines for us having our reports in to be reviewed, edited, and approved. So if it's November, is definitely not going to be possible, but I'll make every effort working with my colleagues to get them to you as soon as possible. And if there's an update that we can move it up, we can certainly let you know. I don't have an issue with that. It's just we're sort of waiting for them to be available to us.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Not seeing anybody online. And mine's true. We did have a meeting about this, and again, we do realize that this is a lot of information, and we don't want to end up, coming into May and June and then being, having people either being surprised that there's changes, or we really, really value the time that you all are investing here. It's not easy to come out on a weekday night and stay late, and we really appreciate it. So since that feedback, the other advantage of having the discussions here in the meeting is that we hear one another and we share ideas, and kind of that there's a generation of other ways of thinking or perspectives. So if there's any kind of feedback that you want to send, whether it's to Bonnie, myself, to Jennifer, just to ensure that we are hearing from you and that people are actually being able to take all of this in. It's really important to us to make sure that you feel like you're meaningfully engaged. Who are we pointing at? Oh, you, sorry.
Thank you. We also want to say that, this is not a static document, right? If there's something that comes up throughout the year that we think is of importance, we will add reports in as necessary. If there are unforeseen changes that we want to consult with you on, we will certainly add to the agenda as needed, but we wanted a starting framework. We're going to leave the association reports sort of generic in the formal agenda until we have an opportunity to send the invitation out to all of you. And then we'll put those details into the report, okay?
Yes, just,
Yeah. Yes, thank you, through you, Chair. Among the list of topics, when we deal with budgetary issues, financials, how much lead time do we have in order, versus when it is being discussed during budget committee, so that we know, the questions we need to ask. All right, thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, great question. Trustee Clark, we have we have two financial reports coming this year, I think November and February, and the February one is coming in advance of the budget committee that is done through Tanya and her team, so that she can come, and that February meeting will really be to seek priorities and feedback from SEAC, so that she's bringing your voice to the budget committee. So that's the whole point of the February presentation. The first presentation that's happening in November will really be more around special education spending.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments? And that,
We've also been offered to see a room here from 6 to 7. If anybody's interested in that, I can be here to kind of review. If you haven't had a chance to go through it, if that's something that people would be interested in, send me an email and we can set that up monthly if people can make it. I know it's another hour of your time, but sometimes maybe getting together and having a quick cruise of what's going on can be helpful. So if people are interested in that, send me an email and we'll get it set up. Or tell me now.
any further questions, comments? And again, as the superintendent said, we have, this is not static. It is something that is subject to change as we move through and we receive your feedback. Okay, if we are all satisfied with the conversation, then may I have a motion that the SEAC annual agenda and goals be received. Trustee Benjamin and our motioner and seconder and post discussion, all in favor? And that is approved.
It's like Dorothy has to start.
She's approving.
Okay.
Oh, she's
As long
approved.
as she's
Okay.
approved. The only thing I have, I can't see that far, and this is behind me. I know. Oh, look at, that's so tiny. Yeah, like I've got the bifocal thing going on and contact lenses. So, so now we're on to number 8, communications for action received. There's nothing that we have there. And chair's request for written questions from community members, nothing there. Reports from representatives and councils.
Not for this month.
Not for this month yet. Yeah,
That's
that's
we'll set the association reports start.
so now questions asked of and by committee members.
We have trustee hours putting that.
Sorry, trustee Evans?
Hi, folks. Thank you, Chair, through you. So my question is for questions asked of and by committee members. It's pertaining to this section. I just wanted to follow up on where we left things off at our last SEAC committee meeting for the last school year on the motion that Ms. Jessie Gill and myself put forward regarding the regional learning choice programs and the research that was going on there. I know we had discussed some timelines for when we were coming back. We wanted to wait for the budget to happen. The budget has happened. So through you, Chair, are we able to get an update on the status of that report from staff, please?
Yeah, through you, Chair, as you are aware, Trustee Ellis, the motion was approved at the board meeting in July, and a response is pending from, it is now Superintendent Bernadette Smith and her team, and they're anticipating either an October or November response. They just want to do a fulsome response, so they are aware of the motion and will respond either in October or November.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Chair, just as a follow-up, I would just reiterate some urgency. I know there are some ministerial changes that may or may not be happening, and I would certainly like to see that work get done sooner than later. As I understand, we'll have a follow-up to that motion once we see the research. Thank you.
Is that all for the questions? If so, we'll move on to committee member motions for consideration. I'm sorry, who else do we have? Jessie, sorry, Jessie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna just add to that. So I don't see it on the agenda for November or December or October, like the earliest possible. Would you be adding that, or where would that then get placed?
Through you, Chair, that doesn't, is not a report. So the agenda that you're seeing is part of the reports, which is section 7 of the agenda. The response to the motion would come through section 13 of the agenda. So it would be added in on section 13 when that department is prepared to respond. So I should have clarified that. That's a great question. So the agenda that you're seeing is really around section 7, which is department reports. But the motion will come back in just a different part of the formal part of the agenda.
Okay. So are you gonna, Superintendent Sukato, take away and confirm when we can get the data for like that comprehensive report that Trustee Alves was referring to?
Yeah,
Because
through
it
you. I
sounded
did
like
have
it was vague. Okay.
Oh, no, through you. I did have an initial conversation with Superintendent Bernadette Smith, and she is actively working on it and committed to a comprehensive response. She mentioned to me it was October or November, so I can solidify that and come back with a more firm response. If it's in October, you'll see it on the agenda. If not, I can email the committee.
Does that help, Jesse? It is so.
Yes, that does. Thank you.
Great. So we would then, sorry, the committee member motions for consideration. Do have that today? I didn't think there was. So notices of motions and petitions, none of those. And we're on to the motion action log.
Through you, Chair, the motion action log is really a continuation of questions that we have yet to answer from last year. So you'll see one that we just talked about, the response for the Regional Learning Choice Program will be brought back. The accessibility plan, where they're finalizing the draft and it is on the report. So I believe that is on in November, I want to say, the accessibility. And then the census report is coming back again, and I don't have a firm date from the research department. They are doing another student census right now, so they are extremely busy at making sure that goes out to all students and trying to get really deep participation, but still coming back to you. So those 3 things are pending and will stay on until we resolve them.
Are there any questions or comments for motion action? Thank you. I'm going to remember to turn around now. If there are none, then we are moving to adjournment. May I have a motion that the Special Education Advisory Committee adjourns the meeting at 8:17 p.m. Oh, sorry. That's my question.
Everybody.
Oh, do we? No, okay. Sorry, does anybody have questions before that? I see a hand up somewhere. Dorothy, are you moving that?
No, my apologies. I was just raising my hand for adjournment.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, that's fine. Since we have Dorothy moving, we have seconder, Trustee Clark. And if we've answered all questions and concerns, then the motion would be to adjourn. All in favor? Thank you very much, and we will see you all in October.